But that's why the show's ending, though.
What's the word with the politicers? And Jefe had court this morning. It's what happened and what I think gonna happen this next court date, August 6th. Traplore Ross was at court today. Not sure how closely he'll be following this case, but the discovery still gotta be combed through. It's a few clips of the footage that surfaced in the YouTube streets. Ross said those clips was really being used in court this morning too. They trying to place Anna at the scene by identifying him by his gold chain. He never denied being there. Denying being there probably gonna blow his case up, in my opinion. Going to buy tissue ain't illegal. Here saying that credible witness is not gonna matter either. It's all about what you can prove. As of now, he got the $2 million bail. But come August 6th, I believe he'll get the reduction. His lawyer just gotta frame it up right and get to work. I guess they requested for Ant to have a laptop in the cell to go over the discovery. God damn, it's that much shit? It's gotta be malarkey. They talking like he Lil Durk. We got 2 terabytes of evidence. I think bro gonna be straight. A minor setback for a major comeback.
I dare you to let me build you a completely free e-commerce store preloaded with 20 handpicked products that are trending all over the world.
All right, folks, so I'm back outside at the courthouse in downtown LA. We are here once again, but this time I'm not here for the David trial. We're here for something different today from the No Jump universe. I've got an update on the Ant Jefe situation. I came down to see Ant Jefe's court date in person. There were some very interesting updates. There was some very, very, very interesting details. I'm not going to lie to you. He looked very, very surprised and confused to see me in the courtroom. There were a couple of his homies in the back, and I was sat just in front of them. I got to the courtroom super, super early. I've been hanging around like all morning, just waiting to see his hearing. And I'm not going to lie, he looked baffled. He looked baffled to see me in the courtroom, okay? Shout out to Ant. Hope he can resolve this situation positively. It's definitely no disrespect. But, you know what I'm saying? I'm out here with the public watching the trial. It was very different to the David trial. You know, there was less people in attendance in the courtroom. It was a little bit more disorganized, kind of more defendants kind of having their opportunity to kind of speak. And yeah, it was interesting. So I've got some big updates for you. So there were some rumors going around that like him and his co-defendant weren't kind of getting along or seeing eye to eye. Now, I don't know what the relationship is like, but him and his co-defendant, Johnny Gray, did come out to court together. They were let out in a blue jumpsuits, different to the orange jumpsuit that David's in. I don't know the reason for that. Maybe someone could tell me in the comments that knows about how it goes down in the LA jails. But he came out with his co-defendant, with both of their respective lawyers. It seemed like they both had a different lawyer speaking for them. I don't know if that means that they're kind of, you know, dealing. But he came out with his co-defendant, Johnny Gray, did come out to court together. They were let out in a blue jumpsuits, different to the orange jumpsuit that David's in. I don't know the reason for that. Maybe someone could tell me in the comments that knows about how it goes down in the LA jails. But he came out with his co-defendant, with both of their respective lawyers. It seemed like they both had a different lawyer speaking for them. I don't know if that means that they're kind of, you know, dealing with their cases. They clearly weren't dealing with their cases separately because the judge came out, brought them both out together and dealt with them both together. But they both had different lawyers standing over each of their shoulders, talking on their behalf. So it's not entirely clear to me exactly, you know, how much they're getting on. It didn't look like there was necessarily animosity between them, but they did have their own separate lawyers. So that was interesting. Now, before the judge actually spoke, and kind of held the hearing officially, Ant's lawyer kind of spoke to him privately for quite a long time. I couldn't hear what they were saying. They were a little bit far away from me, but they basically were talking quite a long time. This is kind of, Ant, I don't know, I hope I didn't distract him because I feel like that's when Ant sort of spotted me in the courtroom. He was kind of like, what the hell? And then, you know, he continued talking with his lawyer. They had like a little private conference talking about some of the details. I don't know exactly what was said, but there was quite a long time that they were talking. There was a lot of going back and forth. Now, he looked very, very focused. I would say that Ant looked very, very focused, very serious. You know what I mean? It's like on that third or fourth court date when I saw David, he started looking a little bit relaxed and kind of, you know, like he was getting used to his surroundings. Obviously, I know Ant has been outside for quite some time. You know, it's probably not the first time that he's dealt with some legal issues from what I understand. But he did look very, very serious. He looked very stone-faced. He looked like he was taking this whole process very, very seriously. It wasn't a joke. He's fighting for his life, and I could really tell that. Now, what was interesting, okay, is that basically the judge kind of spoke with his counsel, They spoke about kind of the situation that was going on, and basically they said that, I think they said initially there was going to be another date, sort of a follow-up date on August the 4th, but it's now been set for August the 6th. And what's really interesting is basically Ant's lawyer said that additional discovery had been provided. It sounded like it was a video clip. I know there's a video clip and a still image that allegedly shows Ant at the scene of this incident, you know, next to a white Range Rover with some distinctive clothing.
35-year-old Maurice Shillman, also known as Young Ant Jefe, pulling up in a white Range Rover on 70th and Western. Now, the key thing with this situation, with Young Ant Jefe at this scene, detectives put together an investigative action report. It's a brief descriptive profile of the suspect, along with physical identifiers that the police use to write that probable cause affidavit. In Young Ant's investigative action report, there's 3 photos. Not only is it him at the scene with the white Range Rover, with what the police say is a key identifier around his neck, his gold chain. The second photo is to show Ant Jefe's bill, again, with the gold chain. And the third photo, the police took a picture from Young Ant Jefe's YouTube account, a close-up shot showing the gold chain, looking to use the gold chain as a main identifier of Young Ant.
It seems like perhaps that, in addition to like even more things, have been provided. Ant and his legal team said that they wanted some more time to go over discovery. There was a lot of stuff, a lot of information that they needed to go over. So they set the August 6th date for the next hearing. Now, what was very interesting, they said right now, the bail conditions that he was offered, obviously he hasn't made bail yet, but there was a big $1 million plus bail package that was basically on the table. That's not been changed. That's set to stand right now. But, okay, they said that they need more time to look at this discovery, and it was very interesting. They said specifically, Ant and his legal team, they were asking for permission to have a laptop brought to him in jail so that he could actually watch and review the new discovery that had been provided. Again, I don't know if that's that video clip that's been circulating or whether there's more video footage or maybe other, digital evidence that he wants to look over. But as I say, he's basically asked to have a laptop brought to his cell so that he can actually review the evidence and review the discovery and kind of get to the bottom of what's going on with that. So I thought that was very interesting. It sounds like that wouldn't be a problem. But again, obviously, it's different to the other case that I've been covering. But clearly, there's a lot of digital evidence that needs to be reviewed in this situation. And, they're going to have to accommodate that. They're going to have to make it possible so that he can get a laptop inside his cell so that he can review the digital discovery so he can see what's going on. And I would like to know if that is in addition, if that's more discovery than we initially have been seeing circulate on social media. There's a video, I think it's on somebody's membership right now, okay? I don't know if it's publicly available. I've seen it, kind of screenshots of it on Instagram. But, there is some footage allegedly from the discovery that's going around that purports to show somebody that's allegedly Ant with some distinctive, chain, clothing, all sorts of things, next to the white Range Rover that was allegedly at the scene. And that's all we've seen so far. That doesn't necessarily prove that he did anything that he's going to get guilty by any means at all. But that is what's circulating. So it does sound like him and his team do want an opportunity to review that plus other evidence, all digital evidence. But there were other big things that were updated. So they basically said, okay, that they're going to have this next hearing. At the moment, it's set for August the 6th. I think they said there was initially a date that was set for August the 4th. They're moving that around. They want some more time to review everything. So it's less than a month, but it's like a good few weeks from now. But what I did find interesting is basically they said both Ant and Johnny, they requested that they could have a bail hearing at the next court date, so on August the 6th. Now, what was interesting about that is that it did seem a little bit like during that time, maybe him and Johnny weren't on the same page as their strategy, because it seemed like Johnny's lawyer asked first if he could basically get the bail review at the August 6th date. The judge approved that, and then there was kind of like a little bit of a moment, and it almost seemed like maybe the judge wasn't sure if they were on the same page. And then the judge basically asked the judge basically asked Ant's legal team, do you also want a bail review on August the 6th? And they kind of had a little moment, and they were like, yeah, we do. It almost felt a little bit like they were kind of like, I don't know if they felt blindsided, but they just kind of like, the way that they were speaking was sort of like, yeah, we do. Like the two different lawyers over each defendant's shoulder kind of speaking separately. Again, it was just unclear whether it wasn't clear to me that they were totally in it together. They weren't having the same lawyer, but also they weren't going against each other. They weren't causing, like, it wasn't like they were adversarial in any way from what I could see. Now, what was very, very interesting and unfortunate is that when the judge basically signed off that they were going to be able to have the bail hearing in the next court date, she did warn them. She became very, very serious, and she basically said, I have to warn you, due to the statute, due to this being a murder case, due to this being so serious, be careful, because it's possible that at that hearing, you might be trying to get a lesser bail, you might be trying to make your bail, but she's saying the crime is so serious that there is always a possibility that when it comes to that hearing, we might revoke bail, we might say no bail, we might move it to say, no, actually, this is so serious, you want to try and get a bail hearing, we're actually going to give you no bail, no possibility of bail at this point. And, you know, they accepted that. I mean, it wasn't really a debate. The judge kind of was just telling them, and they was like, okay, nodded along.
One of Aunt other homies got a DA reject for his court date. They really just trying to attach a face to this, if you ask me. Drain a nigga of his energy and resources. Foul ball, hard ball, they trying to strike niggas